What a crazy week 9 that we just had. But moving to week 10 has the chance to be even more wild and chaotic than week 9 was, even with the upsets that we saw. Next, we have the Saints and Titans. The New Orleans Saints are coming off a loss to the Atlanta Falcons, while the Titans are coming off of a dominant win over the Rams. The Titans have been on a hot streak, beating all top contenders in the NFL. Now, the Tennessee Titans just beat the Rams. The Tennessee Titans did beat the Chiefs. They also beat division rival Colts and another top team in the Buffalo Bills. Now, when you look at the Titans team losing Derrick Henry, you would think it would have been a Ryan Tannehill game in Los Angeles. But it was actually their defense. And their defense, in my opinion, is going to be the key in this game as well. Now, the Saints, they don't have Mike Thomas for the remainder of the year. Now, with Trevor Siemian at quarterback, it's going to be interesting to see how he passes the ball against the Titans defense. And even if he has time against that stifling defense. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are going to be key players to watch in this game, as Marshawn Lattimore is going to have to cover one of them at all times. Now, if Julio is a good to go and he is 100% for the entire game, Marshawn Lattimore is going to have to decide who to cover. Most likely it'll be A.J. Brown, but if Julio starts to get the ball, he might have to switch over to Julio Jones. My prediction for this game is a Tennessee Titan 34-23 victory over the New Orleans Saints. Moving on to our first divisional game of the week in the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. The New York Jets get Mike White back this week, who had a historic record-breaking game 2 weeks ago. Now, Buffalo is in a bit of a slump these past couple weeks as they lost to the Tennessee Titans, went into their bye week, and then came out of their bye week and lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. Now, I think this is going to be an offensive battle, and it's going to come down to which defense can stop the other's offense. But with Mike White being back, the Jets have the momentum. Buffalo does not have any momentum these past couple weeks, and that's why I have the New York Jets upsetting the Buffalo Bills in a close 20-17 game. Now we have the Lions and the Steelers. The Detroit Lions are the only winless team in the NFL. The Lions are heading to Pittsburgh, and DeAndre Swift has been the only bright spot for that team. As for Pittsburgh, they did get news that Chase Claypool is injured. So in this game, look for the Lions' defense against Najee Harris on their front seven. It's going to be interesting to see how they stack the box and when they blitz Big Ben. Now, in this game, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers getting a 35-10 victory over the Detroit Lions. Moving on to our second divisional battle, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. The key matchup in this game is Jacksonville's D-line against Jonathan Taylor. Another key opponent is Carson Wentz and Trevor Lawrence, both with nagging injuries. They both do, however, look like they're going to get the nod and the start this week, but it's going to be something to watch and see how their injuries are monitored throughout the game. Now, with Jonathan Taylor being as unstoppable as he is, and Carson Wentz finding Michael Pittman deep down the field, I have a Colts 20-13 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Washington Football Team. Antonio Gibson has had a nagging injury for multiple weeks and has not been up to his full potential. Taylor Heinicke's not been able to find Terry McLaurin as much as he should. And for the Bucs, Tom Brady has looked phenomenal even at the age of 44. Having Antonio Brown, who's been out, Gronk, who's been out, and then you have Evans and Godwin. So even with those two injuries, he still had two top receivers in the NFL at his disposal. Now, if you do remember, in the playoffs last season, the Washington Football Team lost to the Bucs in the wild card game in a very close matchup. Now, that was Taylor Heinicke's coming out game where he dove for the pylon in what Chase Young pointed to the back of his jersey and said that that's their guy. Which is why I have the Washington football team upsetting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a narrow 23-21 victory. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns taking on the New England Patriots. Now, Cleveland did receive some news about their running backs testing positive for COVID-19. Nick Chubb being the biggest one. Now, Nick Chubb has been one of the best running backs in the league, and some may argue he's been the best running back in the league. Now, Baker Mayfield has a new favorite target in Donovan Peoples-Jones, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Patriots defensive backs guard both him and Jarvis Landry. Now, for the Patriots, Mac Jones has been one of the better rookie quarterbacks this season and will look to continue his stardom for the Patriots. Now, the Patriots look like they made the right choice at number 15 and have their franchise guy and their Tom Brady replacement for multiple years since Mac Jones is only a rookie. Now, with that being said, I have the Cleveland Browns getting a 27-23 victory over the New England Patriots. Now, let's take a look at the Falcons and Cowboys. Cowboys lost to the Broncos last week in what was a 30-0 game, which led to Cowboys scoring 2 garbage time touchdowns. Now, the Falcons did upset the New Orleans Saints as well, so this could be a momentum type game. The Falcons have the momentum, and Dallas does not right now. Dallas's defense is going to be looking towards Cordell Patterson and Kyle Pitts, Matt Ryan's 2 number 1 targets. Patterson had 6 receptions for 126 yards last week, including the game-sealing long pass at the end of the game. Kyle Pitts has emerged as the Falcons' number 1 receiving option when Calvin Ridley stepped away. Now, as for Dallas, they aren't looking too hot right now, and they looked flat-footed last week. Now, with Trayvon Diggs leading that Cowboys defense, along with rookie Micah Parsons, the defense didn't look good last week. Teddy Bridgewater was able to pass all over that Cowboys defense, and their running backs were able to rush all over them. And that is why I think the Falcons, led by Cordell Patterson and Kyle Pitts, will get a 30-27 victory over the Dallas Cowboys. Now let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals and the before-mentioned Carolina Panthers. Now, Arizona was without Kyler Murray, A.J. Green, DeAndre Hopkins, and J.J. Watt last week, and was still able to beat division rival 49ers 31-17. Now, as for the Panthers, they didn't look good against the New England Patriots. Now, we just talked about Sam Darnold and how he looked pretty bad last week. So now going up against that Arizona defense and that Panthers defense who could be without Brian Burns after suffering an injury against the Patriots, and even if Kyler can't go, and it's going to be Colt McCoy leading the Arizona Cardinals, I'm going to still give the Arizona Cardinals the edge in that game. Now, with Chase Edmonds being injured and James Conner having to step up and Eno Benjamin having to step up, it could be a passing game for the Cardinals if Kyler can go. But if Kyler can't go, look to Eno Benjamin and James Conner to lead that offense. Now, I do have the Arizona Cardinals getting a convincing 24-9 victory over the Carolina Panthers. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the Chargers went into Philly and beat the Eagles last week, led by Justin Herbert and converting on multiple fourth downs. As for Minnesota, they lost a tough one once again, and this time it was to Baltimore in overtime to a Justin Tucker field goal. Adam Thielen was Kirk Cousins' go-to guy, and Dalvin Cook was running all over the Ravens' defense. It's going to be interesting to see how Minnesota's defense can adjust to Justin Herbert and the offense. Now, I do have the Chargers winning 30-24 in this game. Moving on to what people are looking at as the game of the week in the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers. Now this is Russell Wilson's return game after being sidelined with a finger injury. Russell Wilson got the pin out of his finger and is good to go for this game. But on the Packers side, we're not so sure about Aaron Rodgers. The minimum time Aaron Rodgers can return would be Saturday, just the day before the game. Now Aaron Rodgers would still have to monitor his health, get back into the game plan, and be ready to go Sunday. Rodgers spoke on this on the Pat McAfee show and said there's a very small possibility that he won't play. Now, if Aaron Rodgers does go in this game, I have the Packers getting a 38-31 victory. I think it does come down to whether Aaron Rodgers is out there for the Packers or not. Now moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles and Denver Broncos. Now everybody's talking about Nick Sirianni's flower message to the team when he went out and talked about soil and fertilization in a press conference. Now as for Denver was able to get the run game going with the Eagles defense has been stifling though with Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. Now although Denver did go all out against the Cowboys last week and the Philadelphia Eagles lost to the Chargers, it's gonna be very crucial in how the Eagles D-line can get pressure to Teddy Bridgewater and be able to stop Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. Now Tim Patrick showed out, so Darius Slay might be looking Tim Patrick's way for the majority of this game. Now on the Eagles offensive side, their run game has been going in the goal line with Jordan Howard and Boston Scott. So Denver's going to have to get after the Eagles' run game. Now, in this game, I do have the Philadelphia Eagles getting a 27-20 victory over the Denver Broncos. Let's talk about Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football includes a divisional battle between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders have been revolving around news story after news story after news story between John Gruden and then Henry Ruggs. And it looked like all that finally caught up to the Raiders last week when they lost to the New York Giants. Derek Carr threw 2 interceptions, including a pick six, and they fumbled late, giving the Giants a game-sealing fumble recovery late in the fourth quarter. The Raiders did not look good against the Giants, and the Chiefs did not look good against the Packers. One of these two offenses is going to need to get going in order to win this game. This could be a get-right game for both offenses, and whichever offense wants it more is going to be the offense that goes out there and wins. Now on paper, you look at it and you're like, okay, the Chiefs are going to go out there and dominate. But they haven't been able to do that in any game this season. Patrick Mahomes' miracle plays have been costing the team, and the receivers have been dropping many plays, resulting in multiple interceptions on Patrick Mahomes, these drop passes, and these balls that are hitting his receivers' hands. Now everyone looks at Mahomes and be like, look at all the interceptions Mahomes is throwing, look how bad he's playing. But it also comes down to the receivers and them not being able to catch the ball. Now when you look at the game, you're going to see Darren Waller for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, is going to be looking towards Darren Waller's way for the majority of this game, in my opinion. You're going to have to put your best cover guy on Waller, and that for the Chiefs is Mathieu. Now for the Chiefs offense, the Raiders don't have the defense to stick with them. So it's going to come down to the line and if they could get pressure on Mahomes. Now if you can get Mahomes out of the pocket and you can pass rush Mahomes to the point where he needs to just throw the ball or rush like he's been, it could be costly for the Chiefs offense. But the end result of this game, I have the Kansas City Chiefs getting a 28-20 victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. Moving on to the last game of the week. Moving on to Monday Night Football, which is another divisional battle between the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. Neither team looked good last week. Jimmy Garoppolo could be looking towards the bench to see if Trey Lance is coming out anytime soon. And Matthew Stafford needs to fix the mental errors that he made last week, throwing not one but 2 interceptions, including a pick 6 early in the game. Now, the Rams offense shied away from the run last week, which hurt Darrell Henderson, who's been a key offensive player for the Rams. Now, if the Rams want to win this game, they're going to have to get Henderson more involved in the game, even though they're going against that San Francisco 49ers defense with Nick Bosa on the line. For the 49ers, we saw Brandon Ayuk finally show up this season. And if Deebo Samuel is 100% healthy, which he's dealing with an injury right now, and George Kittle coming back in his first game last week, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk on the offense could be in for a treat this week, as the Rams defense, led by Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, and new acquisition Von Miller, could be looking to stifle them. I have the Los Angeles Rams getting a 34-24 victory over the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Week 10 is going to be very interesting to see, so let's see how all these games play out.